This Daily Dose of Daryl special edition entitled Celebrating 58 Years of Being God's Messenger. Had the same boss for almost 6 decades. For the first 14 years of my life, I knew about this book. I knew about God. I'd read about him, talked about him, even preached a few sermons about him. But then I realized I needed to enlist and surrender everything to him. So 58 years ago this weekend I did. And life never was the same after that. I became one that was passionate about the pages of this book and spent a lifetime starting with my first church where I was baptized, preached my first sermon and served. And then all my gifts and talents I turned over to God to be used for an entire lifetime. And that's what it takes for each of us to surrender everything. Even my business training and skills I turned over to God and said, take them all. I don't know where they're leading me. Whatever kind of voice you give me to sing, I'll turn it over to you. Even doing multiracial singing in the Deep South in the 1960s, lifting up the value of all people even back then, helping establish a fraternity with good values, faith, ambition, reverence, morality, honesty, obedience, unity, service, excellence, stressing intellectual, physical, social, moral, and spiritual gains in life. And today it still exists after many, many years. My Army training and service, I surrendered to God. Take me where you will. My athletic skills, I turned over to God and said, use them to keep me healthy and allow me to be able to share your good news in many ways. And they did. It helped me go many places. Had some good people along the way that helped me and encouraged me, like Coach Rosen. Even allowed me to use my art together with those other skills. And so, during this whole period of time, when I made that initial decision, God has used these abilities until the age of 55, even nationally. And so, you never know what God can do. That art department, I surrendered my art talent, gave it to God. All the awards and degrees I dedicated to God. And all the different types of ways I could use art, I dedicated to God. And so it's been a great journey. And God said that you're going to have some more training. So I was called to get the proper training, went back and got a master's degree. I served this church as a pastor, went on a mission trip to Guatemala that changed my life. I served as a pastor of this church until it became a full-time congregation, served here and developed a year-round recycled paper and people program for the entire community and helped so many people. And the church reached out to the community, and at the ripe old age of 30, became pastor of Providence and built the pastor's study and began sharing God's message with a passion. Now, through the years, that young 30-year-old began to change and hopefully grew in some ways. But the passion for that message never changed. I passed my 5,000th message there at Providence Church. And through all the changes of life, God was consistent and faithful. Through thousands of visits in hospitals and homes, God blessed me more than he did those I was visiting, and allowed me to use so many gifts and talents from God to turn them back into ways to encourage others, allowing God to use every gift to reach all ages, even the love of a bicycle, being able to include young people in a mountain retreat, retreat in motion called RIM, biking and canoeing and swimming and all of those things. And then retreats and adult teaching sessions, not only here but in the mountains, and being able to sing for God and doing creative vacation Bible school teaching and crafts and allowing the young people to assist and do those things and actually seeing them get involved with their artwork and then watching later as they grow up into adults and seeing how their creativity grew through the years and the crafts that were sometimes seeming overwhelming. Everyone was able to do those things and learn more lessons from that. And then I answered God's call to raise $1 million for hunger relief. I was touched in Guatemala. I said, how am I going to get $1 million? And then I thought, I got a bicycle. I got a whole community. I got a bunch of people wanting to help do this thing. And so we all worked together. I rode my bicycle to Alabama, and we had hunger art contests, and we had all kinds of things. We silkscreen T-shirts, and we helped make a movie. And through it all, over close to 4,000 people came out, and in one afternoon raised over $100,000. So in 10 years, had raised $1 million for hunger relief locally and internationally. And to see that response, I knew God was in it. Baptisms, generation after generation, never grow old. To see the excitement of families when these things took place, and to see the excitement of the person themselves, that growth, that spiritual growth. People joining the church and being baptized through the years was such a highlight. Watching God help people grow spiritually was especially rewarding. Creative youth work, finding ways to help each generation creatively, to get involved and to grow and to learn generation after generation, and to be able to witness how God works in every generation in each way, using every talent to reach out to youth everywhere, not just within the walls of the church, but out into schools. Using these creative means, they would never invite a preacher, but I was able to take messages to young people, not only in this area, but other areas, and letting them understand how special they were created, unique with a special purpose. And through all of that, to realize that simply being available, God provided the situations, the people, the opportunities, and the message. And so even adults, I found out, they also enjoy things that children do, because I think adults many times are still children at heart. And Recreating Bradley Rich was a special opportunity to work with young people on special youth events and helping youth learn to reach out to others and help them and see them blossom and watch each generation grow up into adults. So special. Sharing God's music in many ways with many different people through the years as a special treat. God is so good to bless us. And you know, God can even use Inspector Clue-Dumbo and some of his buddies. And so I know if God can use these kind of characters, God can use you. Have you thought about it recently? Because adults are even teachable with creative and unusual methods. They get involved, they get exciting, and they listen to the messages, and they have a visual image to take with them. And so think about your life and what it is you have. I know you have some gifts and talents. Have you turned them over to God and just allowed God to blossom them through you? You know, it's a lot of fun. People that love God don't have to be boring, and they don't have to be grisly like that. But there are always opportunities to find joy and meaning and purpose as you follow God. And so I encourage you, as you watch this special 58 years of thanks to God, realize that your life is special too. Reaching out to seniors has always been a real pleasure, connecting the church with the community on special milestones like the birth of the county and many other opportunities along the way. To see not only church people but community people come together is very special, and to be able to show how God has been active in this area for centuries, watching God work through many generations of weddings, to see the excitement, to see the love, to experience those with so many different people. What a gift from God. I thank you, God, for all of these special times of counseling and prayer and study and excitement and celebrations through all these many generations, God. You're such a wonderful provider. Of course, there's always paperwork there, and there's always things to do. But following the example of Jesus, working with the blind and doing community vision screenings, getting involved with other people, maybe through the Lions Club, that followed the example of Christ to reach out and help others, not only here, but in many other areas, even expanding it worldwide. God opens doors when you think they can't be opened, reaching out into the community in very special ways, through the schools and the fire department and parades, and finding ways to go out and get involved with people and share something positive with them, and to be able to bring joy into people's lives in many times many unusual ways, touching others internationally and connecting others international, and giving back to God all of the art and photography skills that God gave me to be able to find a place, a wonderful opportunity to share that photography and to share that artwork, and to be able to use them in good and productive ways has been a blessing. Many times we have talents and gifts that we don't realize. Some people, they may not have art or photography, but they know how to bake a cake. And there are many opportunities to bring the message of Christ to others while you're baking a cake and sharing it with others. So think about what it is that you've been given and how you can give back to God in many practical ways in your own life. Now, the other thing is you have to find those opportunities when they're there. And following God into the fire service was a great decision, such a great way to help other people in their lives, but also a way to be able to share that message from God, to be able to serve others in times of need and in times of crisis, not only with counseling and direction for others' lives, but just real practical things like car wrecks and fires. And so whatever it is in your life where God is leading you, don't hold back. Allow God to shape your life and mold your life, and always be sensitive to God's voice and God's leading. And praying for the community through the years has been a real honor and privilege. Reaching out nationally and finding opportunities to share something positive around the world, and to find another person with similar stories, and to be able to use that in a positive way to reach out and touch others was a blessing. And giving back to God with art and movie making and writing skills, and asking God to use me to raise $250,000 for the church, and teaching me how to do grant writing to be able to get that money, and learning to present and preserve the history of this special place. And then pulling people together from all over the region to be able to have a year-long celebration and capture that. 250 years of unique history of God working here, and then connecting the church and community with people and organizations all around the world, with amazing stories being recognized and honored in a world tour, 4 continents, 12 nations, 36 cities, 63 days, 156 presentations all around the world. And having Graham and Providence Church in this area and the fire department. And then the pandemic brought retiring from serving local congregations. So I launched a YouTube channel and a new motivation bureau, and have produced 441 episodes every day, one a day, 441 days. And I'm already doing weddings with wonderful people and wonderful venues, and I have some funerals coming up to be able to share with people at very special times of their life. And so God is always there, and if you're available, He always finds ways for you to share that message and that good news and that opportunity to serve. And so wherever you are in life, I don't care how old you are or what people think about you and your age. God is excited about you. Whether you're doing a new YouTube channel or you're doing something in your workplace or if you're retired doing something in the community, allow God to take who you are and to use you. And these are ways you can contact me because I'm excited. This is God's new place after, the next 30 years, I guess. And I want to thank you, God. The best is yet to come. And you've given me a great partner and celebrating these 58 years. When I enlisted with God, there was no retirement clause, and the passion just got stronger year by year. I'm grateful I was made by God with all these wonderful parts of my life and these wonderful people and experiences. Whatever you are, whoever you are, give it back to God 100% to overflowing. And I know God's going to bless you. Get excited about life.